Arsenal have been linked with David Raya. Now, we was linked with him in 2020. It's now 2023, and we've been linked with him again. Some would ask, do we need another keeper? As you can see here, Fabrizio Romano has said, I understand Arsenal have made contact with David Raya's camp to start talks on salary as the player prefers Arsenal over Bayern Munich as his destination. Discussions are taking place. No issues with Raya, but key point will be between the clubs as Brentford always insisted on a £40 million fee. Are we going to spend £40 million on another goalkeeper? You know, having spent a significant outlay on Ramsdale, is he going to be the number one or number two? Some would argue he's a replacement directly for Matt Turner. Some would argue he's taking Ramsdale's spot. Personally, I think the truth is somewhere in between, in that if you're spending 40 million quid on a goalkeeper with a year left on his deal, he is going to potentially be the second choice keeper, but this is someone that's going to provide significant competition and, you know, someone that can play instead of Ramsdale, who was linked with him in 2020 and 2021, you know, just before we signed Ramsdale, because, you know, he fits Mikel Arteta's system. Ironically, he's Spanish like Mikel Arteta. Ironically, despite the fact that he's a full Spanish international, you know, he spent time in England since he was 15, 16. So he probably qualifies as homegrown. And obviously, you know, in terms of playing out from the back, distribution, all of these sort of things in the modern day, he fits a Mikel Arteta system to a T, essentially, really. So it seems like there's a long way to go, but who knows? Arguably, you could argue there's more reason to sign him for Bayern Munich over Arsenal, because while Arsenal's project under Mikel Arteta is fantastic, you got to remember he's probably more likely to play at Bayern Munich. Neuer's coming back from an injury. They're getting rid of Jan Sommer. Maybe he's happy to stay in England. Maybe he's enticed by what Arsenal and Arteta are doing at the moment. I'm happy for David Raya, but I'll offer my thoughts at the end. As you can see, The Athletic said we're exploring a move for David Raya, and, you know, Romano said that obviously we're trying to talk in relation to personal terms. So any talk of an impending move is probably premature. As you can also see, you know, this is a player that we had multiple bids rejected by Brentford at one point, including a 10 million quid bid, you know, around the summer when David Martinez was leaving. Is it David? Why am I calling him David? It's Emi Martinez. Apologies, folks. And if you needed any, you know, conviction over his ability, you know, he actually played very well in the last game Arsenal played against Brentford at home, which some would argue, you know, VAR did us a bit dirty. We could have done with the extra 2 points in that game, isolated people. So yeah, I like his leadership. I like his quality. When you do your homework on how he's developed in the English game and the somewhat criticisms he's put up with, I like it. I like his mentality. I like the fact that he's been in the trenches. He actually played in League One, in the Championship, you know, from at 15, 16 years of age. He moved to England as a young boy. Obviously, we've got Inaki Kanya, who's worked with him as a coach before, so that's probably something that could probably help him at Arsenal. And I'm all for competition. You know, Ramsdale's just signed a new deal. David Raya coming in means it's good problems. You know, it's you or Ramsdale. One of you has to start, and obviously, it's a long season. Respectfully to Matt Turner, I like him, but at 29 or so years of age, you know, whenever he plays for America, they probably sit there and say, why are you not a number one somewhere? There are talks he could go to Nottingham Forest on loan or permanent. Who knows? What I do wonder is, can you really have two quality keepers? I believe you can, but there has to be a clear number one and number two. We've been here with Cech and Leno. We was here with Leno and Ramsdale. You know, Courtois at Chelsea comes to mind. De Gea and Henderson at United. And I'm sure there's plenty of other examples, people. In relation to David Raya, I mean, he's got great reflexes. He's great, you know, great range of passing, fantastic reflexes. I'd say one of the qualities I like about him is what I liked about our old keeper Martinez, in that he scores quite high for catching crosses, you know, and that gives me a lot of confidence. As you've seen from set pieces and crosses, that has been somewhat of a Achilles heel. I didn't expect us to be in the market for David Raya this summer, but as you know, Arsenal are full of surprises, really. Essentially, but maybe with a year left, making it clear he's got no willingness to sign a new deal at Brentford and, you know, simply put, stay there. Maybe this is a market opportunity that is too good to turn down. And it takes me back to what I spoke about before, in that I think we've done the proactive part in the summer. We've brought in Timber, Havertz and Declan Rice. Now we're trying to be positively reactive. You know, there might be situations on the market, players we didn't feel were available, players that, you know, their existing employers were trying to keep them. Now they're available on the market for one reason or another. And maybe Arteta and the coaching staff and the technical staff at Arsenal, simply put, deemed that this is too good of an opportunity to turn down for this man, really, essentially. As I said, there's a lot to like about him. You look at his pass distribution map, as you can see on the Athletic, it's quite all-rounded. Typically plays it to the centre halves, which shows you evidently, in terms of playing out from the back, what Mikel Arteta demands and all of that stuff, we're in good stead. When you look at him in the Premier League this season, people, for saves, he ranks first with 154. For saves from outside the area, he also ranks first for 64. For crosses caught, he ranks second with 50. For touches, he's first with 1,882. And for long passes completed with 410 of those, he ranked first. As much as we don't want to be a long ball side, you need that element to go direct to keep your opponents guessing. And you saw with Ramsdale against Barcelona, that actually helped us a lot. He's actually, he's had to battle with height in England, actually, even though he's not the shortest, but you know how the British game is. He's actually not that tall in comparison to some of his peers. I believe, Sanchez is top, Ramsdale is second, David Raya is taller than Pickford, and he's behind Ederson, Hugo Lloris, and Henderson, which height don't mean nothing if you're a goalie. Again, when you look at his touches, people, there's a lot to like about him. In the Premier League, he ranks first for touches. Now, typically goalies should. They're going to probably touch the ball a lot, but you could see why. In comparison, Ramsdale actually ranks 10th, folks. So it's an interesting dynamic. When you look at goal kick pass between Ramsdale and David Raya, it's almost identical, people. When you look at Raya, in the defensive half, he's actually kept the ball a lot. And Ramsdale's probably lost possession more times. Now, some of that is circumstantial. While I think Brentford and Arsenal, there's a lot of similarities in the exciting football both teams play, it's probably because of the caliber of the team that these stats are kind of misguided. When you look at Ramsdale against David Raya, it's almost identical. For goals conceded, Ramsdale conceded 43, Raya conceded 46. That places Ramsdale at 66th in for such, as you can see in front of me, and likewise Raya at 69th. Freaky number for some freaky people out there. For saves, Raya ranks first with 154. For Ramsdale, it's 95, and that places him 10th. For clean sheets, Ramsdale got 14, and that placed him in second. Raya was 5th with 12. For goals prevented, Ramsdale is -1, which ranks him in 20th. Raya scored 4th for 5.9. For passes completed, Ramsdale is 10th with 592. Raya for passes made 896 apologies and ranked 4th, folks. When you look at passes in general, Raya is top of the pops where the Premier League goalkeepers are concerned, and Ramsdale again ranks 10th, people. Again, it's near enough identical. In their 38 games that they played, Ramsdale made 95 saves to Raya's 154. So there's a lot of similarities, and both players were linked with Arsenal, so evidently you could see why. A former goalkeeping coach, Drench, I believe his name is, on Raya said, the truth about David is he's not your normal 6'4", 6'5" goalkeeper, and he's been fighting against that stereotype. So he has to have that little bit more spring, power, and athleticism. You have to be able to make those saves that would be top drawer saves. But the way he moves around the goal and the way he plays with his feet makes him the all-round package. When he made a save, we'd always joke that he'd spin on his bum, pause, and go to the other way. I didn't want to take that away from him because he could cover that goal quickly. You see some of the saves he makes now, he's saving the ball 2 or 3 meters past his post because his feet are that quick. He's that agile and powerful that when he takes that step, he's covering more of the goal. He's making difficult saves look very, very easy. And if you ever met him, he has hands like shovels. They're massive. And again, at times, critics would say where Matt Turner's concerned, as much as I think he's decent, there's quite I believe the bracket in quality between him and Ramsdale. So maybe when Ramsdale has had that blip like other players, Arteta hasn't been afforded the luxury of keeping him on his toes, letting him know somebody else can come into the fray. And also, I like his leadership. If you watch Brentford, you can see a lot of the times he will run over to the coaching staff and have conversations, people. And he's also said on that, he said, I normally do it when we have a set piece in the other half. I know we take some time to take set pieces. Keepers see football from behind. So I might see stuff from the sideline they don't even see from the top, or even the other way around. If they see something that can help me or the team. So that tells you he's a leader. That's someone that could be one of Mikel Arteta's lieutenants on the field. Maybe I have to be higher because the opponents are playing balls in behind. Maybe it's our defensive set pieces. In the second half, when subs are coming on, I need to know what the new player's role is going to be. I need to know how to organize the defense and attack. Ramsdale kind of does that sort of stuff as well. on playing on loan in Stockport in the 4th division of this country's football pyramid, he realized that football isn't just a game. You know, people are fighting for mortgages, and again, as you know, Mikel Arteta is a stickler for how you conduct yourself, how you carry on, as much as it's all about your footballing ability, as you can see with the quotes in front of me on the screen, people. And now you can also see him talk about his height when he arrived in England. By now you would have obviously seen the actions against Arsenal. He also spoke about why he specifically made the save against Eddie Nketiah. It comes from Mbeumo giving me a bad pass. I saw Eddie running very fast out the corner of my eye. He was sliding, so if I strike the ball first time, there was a chance of him blocking it, deflecting it to another Arsenal player, and they score. I decided to flick it back on my heel and go the opposite direction. That's just the confidence I have with different types of things. I can do it to get away from a situation and then make a better pass or clearance. And when you look at him, he's played futsal. He's come from Spain. He used to play futsal growing up. You can see why Mikel Arteta tried to buy him many years ago and why we've been linked with him again. Whether we sign him or not is a very different thing. He ranks second for high claims, which is essentially if someone tries to cross it into the box, him catching the ball. He ranks second to only Emi Martinez, who I spoke about before. Ramsdale, unfortunately, isn't in the top 10. I'm not using that to get him. Again, he has worked with Kaya before, and I'm pretty sure, Arteta must have seeked his goalkeeping coach's input when talking about Raya initially or moving for him. But then again, Kaya did also want Runnison, so people can get things wrong, people. Shout out Runnison. Hope you leave the club, people. And he also picked up the goalkeeping coach's character. He said he helped me loads. He's a completely different character on the pitch. He's very hardworking, very tough. And I think every goalkeeper who's worked from him will tell you the same. You learn a lot. He puts you on your toes all the time, and he never lets you go down a level. He wants every single exercise 110%. You cannot go 80. If you go 80, you cannot catch up. It's impossible. So Arteta is great at improving players. You've got a coaching staff that is great at improving players. Come to the Emirates. It's as simple as that, really and truly, people. And again, you can see the leadership qualities. I'm trying to spread the agenda. Clean sheets. We ranked second only to United last season. Brentford was 7th. Although saying that the devil is in the detail, we kept 14 clean sheets and it could have been more. Brentford keep 12. So between how both managers Arteta and Thomas Frank play is very different, but it's also quite similar, and you can see how he will be a like for like player. And it's also another Premier League proven player of sorts that would be signing. He then spoke about making mistakes, because as great as I think he is, he made a mistake against Sterling and City a few years ago. I think last season or the season before against Newcastle. No keeper is perfect. He said you have to deal with it. You have to be tough-minded and in a good way not care about it, but always learn from it. Think about what you did wrong afterwards and not in a single moment. Otherwise, your confidence will go low. You have to focus on the next action, which is true. Mistakes happen. People are going to lose a ball. We play football. If you play that difficult pass and you drop a clanger, have you got the confidence to do that again? Mistakes are always going to happen. There's loads of them during a game, but being a keeper, normally a mistake will cost you a goal. You don't have to change your way of playing or thinking about one mistake. Being a keeper is harsh, because you could save 10 shots. The 11th goes in, everyone forgets about the rest of them, people. And he's also spoken about how critical he is of himself as well, which, again, Arteta's a stickler for mentality. As I said, he's played futsal. He's very much a modern-day keeper. I'm pretty sure if you asked him, do you want to play in midfield, he'd probably say yes. He's also been one of the best shot stoppers in the league. He ranks 4th. Alisson, Leno, Kepa, all above him. Ramsdale was 12th. Along with De Gea at 11th, but I'd attribute that to Man United and Arsenal actually improving defensively, really. Crystal Palace struggled defensively, Chelsea did, Leno and Fulham are going to be under the cosh a lot more, and Liverpool couldn't really defend. Really and truly. And when you look at his mentality, there's a lot to like about this individual, really a lot to like about him. Even when the man speaks about his ambitions, how he wants to play in Europe, he wants to play for Spain, etc., etc. He also spoke about how, he turned down deals, I'm sure, across the course of this and a bit of an analytical part. I can't do do-overs. Don't know why I got tongue-tied there. He's spoken about how he wants to leave Brentford, people, and they've known this going into the summer that the man wants to cut. There's a wealth of experience, man. He's got 324 appearances at 27 years of age. 62 of those came in the Premier League. 141 came in the Championship. 45 came in League 2. 16 came in the National League. He's made 8 appearances in the FA Cup, played 11 times in the EFL Trophy. Now, I'm sure by now you would have seen that flash up on your screen. Again, you know, for the graphic on screen, there's no point talking about Premier League 2, etc., etc. But he's had to deal with a lot. He's had to deal with moving at a young age to a new country, joining tough environments as well, or, you know, where relegation is a difference between people paying their mortgage or not. He's had to prove himself, you know, going on loan, becoming a number 2. You know, there's a lot to like about how he plays football, and also the men's mentality, essentially, really. He's played 161 times for Brentford, 108 times for Blackburn. You know, there's a lot to like about him and a lot of transferable experience. And in a team like Arsenal, he's got a wealth of transferable experience that will rub off on his teammates, people. His distribution is out of this world, and you would have seen that against Liverpool, where Brentford drew 3-3 at a point, people. He's got a great style of play. You know, he can play in the high line. There's a lot to like about this individual. He also ranked first for number of Prem saves last season with 154, and had a 77% save percentage rate compared to Ramsdale's 69%. Maybe those fine margins could be the difference. He has got a mistake in him. You know, by now you would have seen in the video a clanger he made in a playoff game. But yeah, and it's not always a competition thing, man, really. You could see Ramsdale, on Ramsdale, Fabrizio Romano has said, as for Ramsdale, my understanding is that the idea would be to create competition between Ramsdale and Raya. It's not the case of replacing the England goalkeeper. Now, at some point that might have to change, but you get the point, really. And I think people need to respect Ramsdale. As I said, the stuff I'm saying now, you would have seen throughout the course of this video. But Ramsdale last season was only the third different keeper to record 10 away clean sheets in a single season, after Edison and Petr Cech. If you're near them keepers for anything, you're doing all right, people. Ramsdale did concede 2.2 goals more than the average Premier League keeper would have been expected to make last season. But again, that's not just down to Ramsdale. Anything defensively is down to the whole team, but much less the defensive unit, the left back, the right back, the 2 centre backs, and obviously the goalie, people. And I do think in terms of consistency and stability, there are some things we need to do, because again, Arsenal, at some point, people, when we had Ramsdale, White, and Saka, they appeared in near enough every game they could, people, which was the first time since 1990-91, where we obviously had David Seaman, Dixon, Winterburn, and Bold. Many people could forgive White and Ramsdale for thinking, you know what, Arteta, you signed us. There was a lot of noise. Fans like us. We're playing week in, week out. We're getting in Euro squads. We're fragments of the club and whatnot. Arteta said nobody is safe, in a nice way. Competition's for everyone. And White has seen Timber roll in. Obviously, Ramsdale, potentially David Raya could sign for the club as well. And also, Raya at Brentford was part of a leadership group, so I'm here for it. Obviously, you can actually even see on screen how they compare as well. You would have seen that in the graphic throughout this. And if you remember, when Ramsdale actually signed for Arsenal, the man himself said, you know what, boy, I didn't expect to take Leno's shirt as quickly as I did, people. And you have to wonder, will David Raya be accepting of a number 2? Is he coming to sit on the bench, or is he coming to dislodge Ramsdale? Because if you've got ambitions to play for Spain and win trophies, I'm sure you want to play a main part, really. And it's a good problem to have, because naturally, where White and Timber's concerned, or any other additions we've made, you know, if Trossard's playing well and Martinelli isn't, and all over the field, naturally, if you're not a regular or starting, you become a squad player. So there's a lot to like about this, really and truly. So yeah, you lot, let me know your thoughts on Ramsdale. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed throughout the course of this vid. Let me know your thoughts on Raya and Ramsdale. Again, any talk of Raya signing for Arsenal at the moment of making this vid is very premature, people. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. As I said, for me personally, I personally think there's a lot to like about the individual, 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 to like about the like, for me personally, there's a lot to like about Raya. He's 27, so there's a sense of urgency. He's got a solid foundation, having been at Blackburn and been at Blackburn, been at Brentford, gone on loan as well to the 4th division of this country. He's seen what football is about. You would have seen the think pieces I've put online of him. I think he fits our system and our dynamic. You know, good passing range. I think he's quick off his line. I think he's stronger than Ramsdale in terms of collecting crosses. You know, and I think ultimately it's great competition and a great alternative for Mikel Arteta to have. His ability to play in a transitional team and a team that plays a high line. You know, there was a championship game. I think he attempted to, across the course of his time in the championship, he attempted to play either in a game or individually, attempted to play something like 300 passes. That tells you that's lit, because our first attacker is Ramsdale, our first defender is Jesus, for example. Surely he qualifies as homegrown despite being Spanish as well, which obviously helps us with registration things. I think the man's been in the trenches of football as well. I think there's a lot to like. Obviously, he's won silverware with Spain. Did he not win the Nations League? I think he's a very similar profile to Ramsdale as well. I mean, clearly, when we was doing our scouts of keepers that Arteta wanted, Ramsdale and Raya were on the shortlist. So I'd have to ask Arteta, which I obviously can't, which one did you want as your first choice? Because that might have ramifications as to who plays people. I do think in you know, this ain't a Ramsdale hate because I'm a big Ramsdale fan, but I think in comparison to Ramsdale, I think he's got a significantly higher level of focus, I believe, in his game as well. If I'm honest with you, Ramsdale is prone to some odd moments of madness, people. And as I said, like Arteta, he's been here so long, you know, not to you know, belittle his Spanish heritage, but he's basically English. He understands what this game's about. I just wonder, for 40 million, which, forgive me if I'm wrong, is more than we paid for Ramsdale, is he going to be our number 2? I don't know. And I personally would like to see another couple of other signings that in terms of outfield players. You know, you can't argue competition is healthy. You know, some would argue that Timber, in White's case, and Ramsdale, where Raya's concerned, could come to dislodge. Let me know your thoughts and smash the like button. And I think ultimately this is a signing designed to keep everyone on their toes. I don't think the man's perfect, but I think he's experienced. He's got character. He's got a sense of urgency in his career. He's great, you know, in terms of playing out from the back. Fantastic reflexes, very vocal, Premier League proven. You've seen the theme of us signing players that play in the Premier League. Ultimately, competition is healthy. And if you want to play, make sure in training and when you get your opportunities and whatever opportunities Arteta provides, make sure you take them chances or you're not going to play. It's as simple as that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the rest of the analytical videos. Just thought, let me put this short piece together. I'm out.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like